When it comes to authorizing federal spending, the United States Congress operates two entirely separate and distinct fiscal realities. Look at how the legislature handled the Department of Defense budget in the previous fiscal cycle. Through a specialized supplemental package, the Pentagon was allocated an additional $153.3 billion. This allocation was pushed through using a reconciliation vehicle. That procedural maneuver allowed Congress to bypass standard budgetary caps and finance the entire sum through the national deficit. The crucial detail here is the math. Securing that $153 billion required exactly 0 internal offsets. Congress did not have to cut a single existing defense program to pay for the new ones. Now, compare that to H.R. 9237, the Take Care of America's Veterans Act. The centerpiece of this legislation is the Major Richard Starr Act, a broadly supported initiative designed to ensure combat-injured veterans receive their full retirement and disability compensation. Unlike the defense package, this veterans bill was subjected to strict pay-as-you-go rules. Every dollar spent on the Starr Act had to be paid for by cutting an equal amount from somewhere else inside the Department of Veterans Affairs. To meet that requirement, the bill rewrites the rating standards for sleep apnea and tinnitus. It forces future claimants to finance the current expansion by reducing the disability compensation they would otherwise receive. We are going to audit the precise legislative mechanics that forced this internal offset model and ultimately doomed the legislation. We will track the bill's path through the Rules Committee, uncover the missing math from the Congressional Budget Office, and deconstruct its collapse on the House floor. This is a mathematical case study. It demonstrates a system where expanding earned benefits for veterans is effectively paralyzed by internal offsets, while defense spending bypasses those exact same fiscal constraints. The terms of this offset were locked in at the House Rules Committee, the procedural gateway dictating which amendments are allowed on the floor. Veterans Affairs Chairman Mike Bost defended the bill's structure during the hearing, arguing that when Congress passes legislation, it has a responsibility to pay for it. He framed the internal cuts as a required good government principle. But there was a direct alternative on the table. Representative Mark Takano offered Amendment No. 4. His proposal was simple: strike the prospective rating cuts for veterans entirely and fund the Starr Act using the billions already authorized through the Deficit Finance Defense Reconciliation Bill. The committee voted down the amendment. The official record shows it was defeated 8-4 along strict party lines. By rejecting this alternative, the committee reported the bill under a closed rule. That procedural maneuver waived points of order and blocked any further debate on how the legislation would be financed. This intentionally insulated defense funds. By blocking the amendment, leadership guaranteed the veterans package would have to cannibalize its own internal programs to survive. This compares the bill's financial framework. The VA assumed restricting future sleep apnea and tinnitus claims would generate $57.1 billion in savings. But the Congressional Budget Office evaluated the core provision, the Starr Act, and scored its cost at $78.1 billion. The internal math does not add up. The proposed benefits cuts fall tens of billions of dollars short of actually paying for the legislation. Advancing a bill with a multi-billion-dollar scoring deficit usually triggers immediate budgetary points of order. Leadership avoided those hurdles by citing House Rule 13, Clause 3C3, which allows a bill to proceed without a CBO cost estimate if they declare that the score is unavailable. Official executive branch documentation explicitly confirms this maneuver. The Statement of Administration Policy admitted a comprehensive CBO estimate had not been received. That admission was published on July 13th, the exact day before the bill was scheduled for a final vote on the House floor. By exploiting this reporting loophole, leadership bypassed regular order to obscure a $21 billion shortfall. It was a calculated gamble that guaranteed a collision with fiscal reality once the bill reached the floor. That collision occurred when the procedural shortcuts and fractured math were finally presented to the full House of Representatives. Representative Chris DeLuzio launched an immediate countermeasure, introducing a motion to recommit the legislation. Because the closed rule had blocked all standard amendments, the motion to recommit served as the minority's only procedural weapon. It forced a direct referendum on the bill's flawed internal offset structure just before final passage. When the motion went to the floor, the chamber divided evenly. culminating in a highly unstable roll call. The attempt to derail the bill failed by a single vote, 211 to 210. The legislation survived only because Representative Victoria Spartz switched her vote from yay to nay at the very last second. Despite narrowly defeating the motion to recommit, House leadership abruptly halted all momentum. They pulled the bill from the floor entirely. The near loss on the recommit motion proved they did not have the raw vote count required for final passage. In the immediate aftermath, Speaker Mike Johnson stepped to the microphones to contextualize the collapse. His official statement omitted the critical variables. He made no mention of the $21 billion math deficit, the intense opposition from major veterans organizations, or the deliberate bypass of the CBO score. Instead, the Speaker attributed the bill's failure to external factors. He claimed the delay was caused entirely by misinformation and projected that the legislation would be resurrected and passed in September. The bill collapsed, but the underlying mechanism remains completely intact. This sets the stage for a September showdown where expanding veterans' benefits remains chained to the strict math of internal cuts, while defense spending continues to operate under an entirely different set of rules.